and welcome to Razz Reviews, where I review my favorite movies, TV shows, and anime series and tell you whether or not you should be watching them. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a reboot of the movie with the same name that was released in 1984, but this time it centers around an all-female team. The movie stars Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, Kate McCann, and it's directed by Paul Feig. So the movie is about 4 paranormal researchers in New York who are trying to prove the existence of ghosts in the city. Now, when this movie was announced, there was a bit of a negative backlash because people are getting sick and tired of reboots. I personally don't have a problem with reboots. To me, a good film is a good film. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't go, yay, a reboot. Most of the time, reboots aren't, but you gotta live with it. So when they released a trailer for the movie, this is when the backlash started because the trailer wasn't good. None of the trailers were good. It wasn't funny, it seemed lame, it lacked the heart of the original, so people freaked out. However, the people who didn't like the trailers also got attacked and were accused of being sexist because the movie stars an all-female team and they thought people didn't like it because it was all girls, but that was the case for some people, not everyone. But anyway, it was a big, giant shitstorm. So after all the drama and all the chaos that unfolded, what is the result? What is the movie? And the result is meh. I mean, it was funny at parts, it had a lot of quippy dialogue. Kristen Wiig did her thing, Melissa McCarthy did her thing, not as much as usual, but I found the movie to be super okay. Nothing fantastic, nothing hilarious, nothing amazing, and at the same time, it wasn't that bad. I was hoping it was going to be worse than fine, because of all the backlash and the drama. I can come here and shit on it, but it wasn't. And at the same time, it wasn't great. So, meh is really all we got. I really liked Paul Feig's earlier work, especially Spy. So I was excited that he was going to do this movie, and he was working with the same cast that he usually works with, so I thought it was going to be a really good success. However, the characters did not really stand out like they usually stand out in his movies. They weren't as fleshed out. But at the same time, the funny beats were there, the moments and the interaction and the chemistry was there, so it was okay. Not one of his best work, but it was fine. So now I'm going to talk about the top 3 things that I liked about this movie. Number 3 was Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth in this movie was really, really fun. I really enjoyed his character. I thought he was really funny. And of course, he's Thor, and he brought all the abs. All the abs were in the movie, and it was great. The film knows that he's a super attractive man, and they treat him that way. Sometimes it was a little bit too much how the girls were reacting to him. It felt a little offensive sometimes. Maybe it felt a little very, very feminist, like how a very beautiful woman would be and she would get objectified a lot. And it felt like the movie was doing that in reversal, and it was objectifying Chris Hemsworth in the film. And I guess it was okay, it was funny, but at the same time, sometimes it went a little bit too far, but still it was very enjoyable because I was objectifying him myself. Also, Chris was really, really funny. He played like a ditzy receptionist, and he was really stupid, an incredibly dumb character, which gives you a lot of comedic moments. Number 2 was the first act. The first 20 minutes of this movie were really good and very enjoyable. It was very successful at establishing what the story was, what the setting is, and who the people are. We had to be introduced to 4 new characters that we've never met, and we had to kind of understand who they are, what their quirks are, what their personality is like. And the movie did that very well and got you really excited to see where the story is going to go from there. So I really enjoyed it, and it was really funny. And of course, the comedy involved the characters, and it's really what Paul Feig does best. He's really good at having a bunch of female characters usually interact with each other, quippy lines back and forth. I'm sure some of it is improvised, some of it is already written, but it was really, really nice to see that, and it really shined. His style actually shined in the beginning of the movie, so I thought that was great. Once you started going into the Ghostbusters stuff, it was a little further away from what you usually get from Paul Feig, so that's why I really enjoyed the beginning of this movie. The number 1 thing I liked about the movie was Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones was a standout for me, as I said earlier. I thought that her character was really funny, really down to earth, and very relatable. The other girls kind of sometimes felt like caricatures, not real people, but she felt like a real person going through this. And because she's the only one who doesn't have a scientific background, it meant that she was our eyes. She was getting introduced to everything with us. So that made her a very relatable character, and I really enjoyed watching her go through the movie. In the trailers, she sometimes seemed like she's a little bit too shouty and too loud. However, in the movie, she actually wasn't. In context, her comedic scenes and her moments actually worked very well. And this is the thing about Paul Feig's trailers usually. I mean, the trailer for Bridesmaids was terrible, and the trailer for Spy was even worse. I wasn't even going to watch Spy. So in this case, I felt that the trailers did not do Leslie Jones justice. She was much funnier in the movie, and I really enjoyed her character very much. I've enjoyed Leslie Jones in SNL, but I've never seen her do anything emotional. She was always doing her persona. But in this movie, I felt for her character, I felt she wanted a friend, she wanted to belong, she wanted to be with these people. You felt that from her, and it made her really, really down to earth and a really enjoyable character, as well as the comedy that she was a part of. It really all worked together very well. Now I'm going to talk about the top 3 things I didn't like about the movie. Number 3, the fleshing out of the characters. The characters were funny, and they were established in a way where you understood who they are and what their quirks were, what kind of character archetype, if you may. But we didn't really get enough backstory and enough information about each individual character for you to really relate and connect to the characters as much as you should have. The only person we really got a backstory on was Kristen Wiig's character. Her backstory was interesting, and it made her more human, but at the same time, it wasn't enough. The movie's not supposed to just star her. It's about the 4 members working together, having the chemistry, kind of like they did in the original film. Now, the time code in the film was used on other things that I will talk about later that I think should have been used on this. So I thought that was severely missing, especially from Kate McKinnon's character. Kate McKinnon plays an engineer, and she's really quirky and really strange and really offbeat, and it was really enjoyable to watch. But at some point, when you can't put your finger on why an offbeat or a quirky, crazy character is like that, when you don't know why, you lose touch with them. You feel like they're just a weird character. You don't know why they are the way they are. So I thought like her character could have been even more fleshed out, and I thought that if she probably, for me, would have been the standout of the movie. The number 2 thing I didn't like about the movie was the ending. The ending was a little weird and over the top for me. I'm not going to spoil what it was. I'm just going to say that the movie was going about itself in a certain way. So basically in the movie there isn't as much ghost busting as you think there is. There's really 1 or 2 ghost busting before the big final epic showdown that you see in the trailers. And there's a lot of ghost busting then, and it was fine. But after that battle was finished, and when we were reaching the conclusion, I found it a little strange and kind of over the top. Like they really went far with the supernatural element and the realms and the ghosts, like really big. I know you would want to end on like a big bang, but it felt really out of the movie and out of this world, and it took me aback, and it kind of took me out of the movie. Like, what is happening? What is all this? At some point I felt like it's something out of a Doctor Who episode. So the movie ended on a whimper. I would have loved it more if it ended on a note of empowering the characters, something about their relationships. I mean, you had that a little bit in the conclusions, but I was hoping that the final climax would have involved that a little bit more, so we can again connect to these people a little bit better. And instead they focused on the flashiness of it, and ooh, they made it so big. Oh, but when you distract me with all this flash and all this madness, I don't have time to root for anybody or to feel for anybody. I'm just experiencing this ride, and that takes away from the actual emotional human experience of the film, and I thought that could have been handled better. The number 1 thing I didn't like about this movie was the cameos. I understand that the movie is a reboot, and it's based on a pre-established name and franchise, and you want to reference it, you want to show people that, oh, this is Ghostbusters, and this is always an executive decision from the studios. We should put the logo in there so they buy tickets and go. But at the same time, people did not want this reboot. Nobody asked for this reboot. So when you make a reboot movie because you want people to come see it because they have some sort of nostalgia or some relationship to the brand, fine, you're doing it, but you have to make sure that the movie is good on its own, that it stands, that people watch it and enjoy it. And when you do it with an all-female cast, you're changing a lot, you're establishing it as its own thing, not a continuation of the story, which I think it should have been. If it was a continuation of the story, I think it would have been much better. Just establish it in the same universe, have cameos and connections from things that have happened in the past, the nice Easter eggs. It would have made sense because it would have been part of the story and part of the overall universe. They wanted to separate the story. They're like, no, it's a reboot, doesn't exist in the original universe, nothing happened, Bill Murray and those guys don't exist. Fine. If you're doing that, then I shouldn't have to sit through a billion cameos from people that were in the original franchise as random characters that have absolutely no impact on the story of the film or the universe or the characters. This is literally what would happen. You're watching the movie, the story is moving along, things are happening, and then suddenly, stop! Here's a Bill Murray cameo. And now we're in a Bill Murray cameo. You're sitting there and you're watching it and you know, better put my popcorn down, it's Bill Murray, he's cameoing, and he's gone. And now we're back in the story. Completely disrupts the flow of the movie. Why not detach yourself completely from the original? Just, you have the logo, you have the name brand recognition, great. Now focus on the movie, make it a good story. They were bad, like they were so cringy and they felt awkward because you felt like, why am I looking at this bellhop talking, having like 20 lines in the scene? Like, why? Who is he? And I know in the back of my head, it's because he's from the original movie. Like, that takes you out. That ruins the experience. Why? Don't do it. Stop. Those unnecessary cameos that were shoved in my face took away time code that could have been spent on the fleshing out the characters I was talking about. We could have had more scenes, more interactions between people, better storytelling, better transitions between scenes, pacing. At some point, like, the movie kind of slows down in the middle and honestly becomes boring because something's happening, but then we stop and then it's somebody from the original film. They want it's this guy, but you don't want that. You want that in a convention. You're in Comic-Con and this guy is like, it's the guy from Ghostbusters. You want that then. You don't want that when people are in your film trying to live the world, trying to connect in the world, trying to engage. You don't want that then. You don't want them to disengage and be like, it's Bill Murray. Why? Stop it. It's stupid. And it was completely unnecessary and a total cash grab. Like, money. I can literally see the white-haired studio exec. Let's get Bill Murray in there. They recognize Bill Murray. No need whatsoever. People are coming to the movie. People are going to watch it. So they were the worst thing about this movie, and they really bothered me while I was watching. All in all, the movie had a lot of flaws, but it also had a few nice moments. Nothing impressive, nothing destructive, just completely down in the middle. And that's why my rating for this movie is a 5. So Ghostbusters, should you watch it? Should you check it out? Should you go to the cinema and see it? I personally don't think that it's worth the cinema ticket, honestly. I think it's a fine movie if it's on TV while you're hanging out with your friends and you're having a pizza and you want to put something in the background. You half watch, half talk to each other. If you want to see it out of curiosity, that's fine. If you want to skip it completely, you're not really missing out on much. Like I said, it's meh. Why would you spend time on that? So, did you watch Ghostbusters? Did you rage quit life when you saw that trailer? Did you completely troll that comment section? Let me know in the comments below. And also, feel free to ask me for any movie that you would like me to review in the future. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and help us share the geek. And look forward to more reviews coming your way soon.